Hello, welcome to Hidden Existence. It's Anything Goes, number 43. Jason, I can't believe we've done 43.
It's been I can't imagine that either. It's been a while. I mean, we're getting kind of long in the tooth. We should probably do something else. I mean,
Definitely. Let's let's do that now. But hello, welcome to everyone. Good to see you all there in the chat. We've got a great show tonight. We've got a great guest coming from my hometown itself, Lancaster, is Andrew Riley. Welcome, Andrew.
Hello. Good evening. Or good morning, wherever you're looking from.
We're all over the place, aren't we? It's interesting tonight because, some of you know, I go on my walks around where I live and try and show you a little bit about the history. And I think Maddie's connecting. I think you gave her the wrong link. She's actually coming in.
I had to download something, apparently.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Is she coming into the show as well?
I don't know. Possibly.
Oh, that's what I think. You give her a link to come into the show. It's not connecting though. But where was I? So I thought, and I live in Lancaster, but I don't know too much about the history too well. But I know someone who does. And I thought, instead of me, trying to make things up as I go along, I'm going to get Andrew Riley on because he does know what he's talking about. He is the chairman of Lancaster District Heritage, has a great interest in the old buildings that we have here. And you're going to take us through a little bit. I want to know as well, what got you interested in doing the heritage, getting into Lancaster District Heritage?
Well, funnily enough, when I was a kid, we used to go on family holidays. We never went abroad anywhere. And we used to tend to go to static caravan or touring caravan holidays. And as opposed to lying on the beach for like 10 hours a day, my parents always used to take us, me and my brother, to stately homes, ruined castles, and historic buildings and stuff. And I think that planted the seed when I was a young kid, just to sort of, got quite infatuated about history. And as I sort of grew up a little bit, I sort of started looking into it a bit more. I'd say only with the last sort of probably 15, 20 years, I've really sort of hit the ground running with it. I've always appreciated the history of Lancaster, being born and bred here, but it's just like I said, there's so much when you scratch the surface that you don't know about. And even though I chair the heritage group and I run the Facebook Lancaster Past and Present, I'm still finding out things I didn't know about, and it's just amazing, and it's a good thing with the Past and Present group is you're getting people's memories. There's a lady called my family in Australia. She's 83, and she left Lancaster in 1958.
Wow!
So all her memories of Lancaster stop in 1958. So when I'm posting 1950s photographs, it's just taken her back. And it's just the first thing she does when she wakes up in the morning is make a brew and go to the group, and she just, people's memory, from a simple comment or whatever, a simple photograph, you get all these memories from 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever. And it's great. That's, it's quite a warming feeling when you're reading some of these things and people connecting with each other that, have not seen each other for years. One lovely story was there was a lady that got in touch with me via Messenger and said, "Oh, hi, Andy, you don't know me, but I'd like to thank you." And I said, well, "Why? What have I done?" Does it involve the law, And she just said she'd emigrated to South Africa in 1971 with a family. She was a former girls' grammar school student, and she came across the group purely by accident, joined, found 4 of her old schoolmates, like her best mates at school, that she completely lost touch with. And in 2016, she came over for 2 weeks to Lancaster and spent all the time with them. And she said, if it wasn't for your group, that would never have happened. And it's sort of like, yeah, that's a nice cozy feeling on that one as well. It's
I should mention Andy started a group called Lancaster Past and Present on Facebook. I think there must be over 50,000 members. The last time I looked was 40.
56,500 at the moment.
A lot of people all connected on this group. If you've lost your dog, your cat, your gerbil, your parrot, you can put it on there. Probably someone will find it. If you're looking for someone, like you say, if you live abroad and you want to connect with someone who you went to school with, you can probably find them, or someone will help you. I mean, it's such an amazing group with so many like tools, and with people out there who will know somebody who knows somebody. And I mean, actually, I think you deserve a medal. Because till you got your admins, I don't know how you did it. I mean, it was
Jack Daniels helped a lot on that one.
You know what? As with all groups, there's ups and downs, isn't there? But there's some, passionate people out there. We'll put it that way, that have some really strong opinions. But it's great. They all get together, and
I started it just to put, because I've got quite a massive archive of old Lancaster photographs. And I initially put it on. I was in a group very similar, and the guy that was running it just kept shutting it down. And I thought, well, if I do one, it won't be shut down. So I just started it literally to put old photographs on, but it kind of morphed into what it is now. So it's gone from, just being like, here's some nice cozy photographs of old Lancaster, to being like public information service. But it works.
Yeah, and some of the photos, and even once someone posted a photo of Church Street from late 1980s, and my Toyota Corolla was like in the middle of the picture. I was like, I can't believe it. I can't see that car again. So it's pretty incredible. The thing, like, we both have to agree on, Lancaster is just beautiful to look at. Some of the buildings, where we're set with the Williamson's Park. It's just, to the eye, an absolute dream to look at for me personally.
I've said to a lot of people, next time you're in town shopping, look up. Some of the facades, the old date stones, 1800s, 1700s, and just the style of some of the buildings. Of course, like any sort of modern city, large swathes have been sort of knocked about and taken away. But, there's still a lot of the old town which is worth walking around and looking at. But, I said that a few years ago to people. I says, next time you're in town, just look up. And, a few people said, I never realised there's such amazing architecture above my head. You're looking at your phone or you're looking at the shop window, and it's just like, no, look up.
It's incredible. Yeah, stonework's incredible.
Yeah.
And well, let's want to talk about the group a little bit. What you do, the dig. One of the digs that you did. Well, tell us a little bit about what we do in the group, in the District Heritage Group.
Yeah. The group started. There was a local Lancaster County Council funded thing with lottery funding or whatever. Started something called Beyond the Castle, and it was basically, they'd done some geophysics, ground penetrating radar survey on Vicarage Field and Quay Meadow, which is near Lancaster Castle. And what they started doing was something called armchair archaeology. So about every month or a couple of months, we'd meet up in, I think it was the Wagon and Horses pub. So it's always good when you meet in a pub. Nothing can go wrong. And
Exactly.
and what they were doing, they were explaining the geophysics and what they thought it might mean and stuff like that. And they were inviting people, local people, to come along and talk it and ask questions. And there was a core group of about 8 or 9 of us that went to every one. And after about 6 months, we all got to know each other really well.
Mm-hmm.
And we sort of muted the idea of, well, why don't we start our own group? We all know each other now. We've all got the same interests. So let's give it a whirl. So in 2014, I think we started. We sort of got a constitution together and stuff like that, and bank account. It's purely voluntary. There's no sort of, we don't get any funding for it. And as 2014 went on into 2015, it was suggested that on Quay Meadow that they actually do a dig. They didn't have a lot of information, like the ground penetrating radar information on that, but there was a couple of sectors that they'd done that showed a couple of anomalies on it. So we basically, I mean, it was a completely massive learning curve. I'd never picked up a troweling hanger in my life, you know, and but the paperwork that you have to do before it and stuff like that, and get permissions. Mm-hmm. Thankfully, we got a grant to do the dig of that £5,000 from the Duchy of Lancaster, of the castle, basically. And in September 2015, it all came together, and we dug 3 trenches on Quay Meadow, which is just off the St George's Quay, the riverside in Lancaster. And in 6 days, we had found 2 Roman buildings and a Roman road. The Romans are in Lancaster from about AD 79 till about 410. And what we think it was a port settlement which was serving the fort, which was on the hill above where we were digging. So yeah, there's some of Daniela's photographs here.
Yeah, I came down, didn't I, for a few days, and took a few photographs for you as the dig was going, and it's just by a river, isn't it? The river's just on the other side of those buildings. We've got the River Loon.
I mean, that trench there was 40 meters long, so it's just, you know, it's quite hard graft.
A lot of work involved in doing it right, you know.
Yeah.
So what other you found little trinkets and things like that as well, didn't you?
Well, the St George's Quay was built around 1750 on reclaimed land. But there'd never been any digging as such, or I think it'd be used as farmland or pasture land. And then obviously when the quay was built, it was a field directly behind the quay. So initially we started finding Victorian bits of crockery and pots and stuff like that. Then Georgian, which takes it back another sort of 100 years. And we were expecting to find medieval, post-medieval stuff. And then there was nothing. And then we came straight down onto the Roman buildings. So we found 2 Roman buildings and a Roman road. The buildings had evidence of post holes. And if you find post holes with a Roman building, it means it was more than 1 story high, because the post holes actually hold the 2nd floor up. So the 2 buildings we found were definitely 2-story buildings. And at the top of the field, there was also evidence of a cambered Roman road, which presumably was leading down from the fort to the riverside. So yeah, it was not bad for 6 days' work, basically.
Wow! You did all that in 6 days. That's impressive.
Yeah, 6 days. 7th day, we were putting it all back together again.
Yep. So, quick question. So you said that the Romans occupied Lancaster from 79 AD to about 410, so around 3 centuries. And you think that was maybe like a port city what you found was part of like a port, right? To feed the larger garrison that was stationed there.
Yeah, there's evidence of 3 forts being in there, each one getting progressively larger. And the last one, it was when things were going a little wayward for the old Romans, and you know they were sort of starting to pull back and stuff. But they reckon there was quite a large garrison. We've also got a bathhouse which was excavated back in the 1970s, which was all part of the same thing. But yeah, looking at evidence, I mean, we don't know for sure. Obviously, you know, there's nobody to ask. But for the evidence we've found, we think that because the actual where the quay's built now, that wouldn't have been there in Roman times, and we think the riverbank was where the tree line is on the actual field. So, but yeah, so one of the buildings we found was separated into about 3 or 4 different sections, which looked like some sort of storeroom. So it might have been for grain or things like that. We were hoping to go back the following year, but local politics and big egos got in the way. So unfortunately, it's remained. I could do a full program on that one, to be honest. Yeah, it kind of went a little bit pear-shaped, where it could have been the local council's perfect opportunity to embrace a local community group doing something for the heritage of the city. They decided to try and claim it as their own, and seeing we planned it, funded it, dug it, staffed it, and everything, and then they said, well, it wasn't actually your dig. But okay, I beg to differ, Your Honour. But yeah, I mean, everything's sorted now. But hopefully, in not too distant future, there will be an excavation, whether it's by us or whether it's by somebody else, which we can assist with. It's like I say, you get politics, local politics, and things involved in. And big egos and things, things tend to go a little bit pear-shaped. But we've had other projects since. We've done another 4 excavations around Lancaster. So, onwards and upwards, and those were on private land. So, if the council wanted to get upset with us, they couldn't, because we didn't need their permission to dig there. So, but
exactly.
It's really.
I got froze out for a bit then. Was it me that went? Did you notice?
I didn't. I was looking at the camera.
Yeah, it's all right. I don't know what happened there. It is fascinating. I just actually brought up a map just so people get an idea of where we're looking. So that's the river going through. This is the castle, and it was down here, wasn't it?
Where are we? If you go up further up
here, was it?
It's where the cross is, right, the top centre, that's Quay Meadow there, with the oval in the middle of the field.
Got you. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So it would have maybe come in here then, wouldn't it? If it was
so if you imagine all the I'm pointing at the screen, obviously can't see anything. all the buildings right next to the river, they wouldn't have been there obviously in Roman times, and we think because of the proximity we found the buildings that the river line would be where the trees are behind the buildings there, which would make sense. Yeah. And then the actual fort, if you can see the sort of the triangle just below that field there, where Quay Meadow is. If you go up slightly. Right, no, down. That's it. That bit, right in the centre of the picture there. That is Vicarage Field, and that is, if you can see, like a sort of L shape. That is the actual remnants of the earthworks of the fort, the actual Roman fort.
Oh,
right. Well, that's
cool,
isn't it? Yeah. Go on, Jason.
So you had mentioned that you found, you went as you were going back. You hit you were expecting to find, some medieval stuff, but then it just sort of goes dead for a bit, and then you hit the Romans.
Yeah. Literally, we got down there, and there's different types of Roman pottery which is identifiable. Some of it which is like an orangey colour called Samian ware. And there's also a darker one which is called black burnish ware, and there was evidence of that coming up. There was what we think was a link to the chain, the chain connector of a Roman centurion's shoulder thing.
Oh, cool.
Again, it's identical. We presumed it's that. It looked very much like that, comparing it with photographs and stuff. There was some roof tiles, all which could be dated. Because when you're doing the archaeology, you do it in what called a context. So you go down, say, 6 inches, and that's, argument's sake, level 1 of that trench. Then you go down another 6 inches, that's level 2. So if it's trench 2, level 2, so you know exactly which level you've got it out, and you could go down to like 4 or 5. So it's trench. So the Roman stuff might have been in trench 2, level 6. So that makes it. If all the sort of finds are very similar to that, then you can date it from, you know, because you're not just like digging it out of the ground, throwing it in a heap, and then finding it. Because you say, well, was it on the top of the soil? Was it in the middle of the soil? Was it at the bottom of the soil? So, and it's all stuff like this. We had at the time only one professional archaeologist in the group. We've now got 2, and we had to pay a site director to actually oversee the dig. But now we've got 2 fully professional archaeologists within the group, and we have now 6-7 years experience. And we have a laugh. We meet in a pub. We have a laugh. We take the mickey out of each other. But when it comes down to doing anything like the archaeology, we are bang on the button. We do everything by the book. Everything logged, recorded. We do reports afterwards. We submit the reports to the landowner that we've been digging on. And you've got to be like that. You can't just, you know, archaeology is like 6 days. Like this one was 6 days digging and 2 years of a post-excavation report. Because, you know, you're weighing things you've found, you're identifying them, you're putting them, saying which context you found them in. Like I said, taking photographs, logging them, and separating glass from stone, from brickwork, from whatever. So, you know, it's by no means an easy task. But again, you know, we were doing the report. Would do it in evenings. Would do it at weekends and stuff. All, you know, usually in the pub as well, which helped matters considerably. But yeah, it's just a great community spirit, and I mean the euphoria that we felt when, you know, we finished. You know, to be quite honest, with the last day when we were what you call backfilling, which is basically you leave the site as you found it, so you backfill it, returf it, or whatever, or reseed it. I'd started with a bit of flu, so I was only there for half of the last day when I was just literally dying on my feet, because we've been there for like 10 hours a day for 6 days, sort of thing, and I think my body was sort of saying, "Sod off, go home." And I got back.
We're done here.
Yeah, I got back, sat at the kitchen tables, and I burst into tears. And my partner Maddie said, "Yeah, you're all right." I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." I said, "I've just realised the enormity of what we've done in these last 6 days." And it was that. So I wasn't feeling particularly well, but it was that euphoria of, wow, whoa, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, I watched you guys. You know, I'm just walking around taking pictures, but you were all busy, constantly logging information all the time. Nothing moved before you logged it, and yeah, it's a lot to do. But you have a great team, you know. And Andy Brown is great.
Oh yeah.
He does his bit, doesn't he? So.
Jokingly, it's the nearest thing that all of us get these days to a dirty weekend. Kneeling in the muddy trench.
So, a couple of questions. Just sort of, again, if you don't know, that's perfectly fine, because these may be a little more obscure. So I guess my first question is: so the river that y'all were up to, that the Romans, was that a navigable river, or like they would use it for brown watercraft and stuff like that, or was it?
Yeah, it was very. I mean, as it is today, it's very very badly silted up. But back in the St George's Quay was almost as an important port as Liverpool at one stage.
Really?
There was 2 shipbuilders back in the 17 and 1800s, literally on the banks of the Loon, just up from there. And yeah, I mean, there was high mastage ships coming up way up until, you know, the mid 1800s. And I have photographs of big ships up there. Back in 1975, there was a boat which was parked up there for a while, ready, prior to it being taken somewhere to be broken. Now it's a tidal river as well. So
Okay.
as the sea comes in at Morecambe Bay, the tide rises, so it is navigable. But when it drops, you know, you've literally got basically hardly a trickle. But back in Roman times, it'd be fully navigable, and it was an important area as well because where it was situated at Morecambe Bay and where Lancaster and the fort was, you've got a view of the Lake District hills across out into the actual sea. So it is a pivotal place. You know, if some people were coming to maraud and attack you, that was a best place to be. So the fort was facing the river basically. But yeah, that's why we think, you know, the actual Quay Meadow dig was a port settlement, because it just makes sense that as the years went on, and obviously garrisons were being brought up to the fort by the river, they needed feeding, they needed watering, they needed wine.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Definitely wine.
Exactly. So that's actually my next question. Is were the soldiers actually Roman, or were they simply Roman Empire? Because by 79 AD, like in the Middle East, most of the soldiers, which again, the sacking of Jerusalem was just a few years before that. Most of the soldiers, like the generals and the upper and the officers, were actually Roman. They were Italian, but then like these soldiers themselves were like from the neighboring states. So was that maybe the same way for England, or was it?
I should imagine. Italian? I should imagine as the years went on. Obviously, you're looking at a period of got a good 300 years. I should imagine as the like any area of the Roman Empire, as things progressed and they expanded, they might have. Yeah, we don't know if the port settlement was run by Romans or it was run by locals for the Romans. Again, we don't particularly know. You know, there might be some more literature about that around somewhere. I do have a couple of books on Roman, Roman Britain and north of England, Roman Britain.
Yeah.
But actually identifying just where they were from, I honestly, hand on heart, couldn't say if they were all 100% Romans.
Exactly. Well, it's like it's hard to know. It's like if you have an entire legion, some made from Spaniards, some made from German. Yeah, it's like they're all coming together, but they're all using the same tools. They're all building the same things that the Romans were building. How would you really know that they were different unless they left something? It's like, I'm from Spain. Like, it'd be hard to know. But I wasn't certain if maybe there was something found or some documents.
It's like one piece of pottery that we found actually had a leg on it. Maddie actually found that. And we managed to date that basically to, I think it was about 150 AD. And we could, because of the style of the piece of pot and the emblem on it, we could actually date it to roughly where it was made in Italy.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Like, yeah, you know, like I say, you start scratching the surface of these things and it's just like, whoa, you know, and it's just like, and another amazing thing when you're finding little bits of, you know, there might be bits of broken pot or a roof slate and stuff like that. You then think you're the first person that's seen that for nearly 2,000 years.
Yeah.
And it's like hairs on the back of the neck a little bit, you know, and it's sort of, wow, you know, and it's just, again, that's, I mean, it was a learning curve for me. I didn't, you know, like I say, I didn't know that much about archaeology. I've obviously watched Time Team and things like that, but, you know, we actually had to learn how to do it and learn how to do it properly. And it's funny enough, one of our later digs, we got some volunteers that came up from Liverpool who'd heard about the dig we were doing at Hillside, and they came up and I was actually showing them how to trowel properly and identify things and stuff like that. And one of our archaeologists, Nigel, was actually watching us. I didn't realise he was watching us, and after I'd sort of set him going what they're doing, he says, that was really heartwarming to see. You know, from a couple of years ago, you didn't have a clue what you were doing. You've actually just taught somebody the 100% correct way of how to trowel a trench. And it's like, and I'd never even thought of it. It's just because I'd actually done it without thinking, you know, and it was sort of, yeah, haven't I? I'll give it a thought.
It's great though, passing skills on like that. Yeah. And, you know, the fact that you're not waiting around for some, you know, team to come along and do these digs. You've put it together. Like you say, it's been taking a while, but you eventually got together organically to create this group, and you're doing it for yourselves, which shows you that people can do this.
Oh yeah, I mean, as well as doing the archaeology, we've done a few projects. One of the projects we're working on at the moment is the Queen Victoria Monument in Dalton Square in the centre of Lancaster. We're actually doing a book about identifying every single face that's on there, doing a biography of every single one of them. We've already brought out 4 publications as well. One on Williamson's Park, one on Lord Ashton, or the ladies in the lives of Lord Ashton. We tried to save St George's Mill on the quay. We spent 3 years trying to save that, which was the last part of Williamson's empire. Just to give you some information, James Williamson was the biggest employer in Lancaster. He basically made oilcloth and stuff like that. And it basically employed most of Lancaster. And over the years, various parts of the factory have gone, and there was this one warehouse, if you will, left. Well, one part of the factory left. So we were campaigning to get it listed, which it needed redeveloping. But what they could have done and what we saw was possible was actually do an internal demolition of the insides of it, keep the facade, and then build new up inside. Spent 3 years trying to save it. We didn't. We applied to Historic England, which is the old English heritage, to try and get it Grade 2 listed. So they had to, and they rejected it twice. And on Bonfire Night 3 years ago, I went down to watch it being demolished. So, but we tried, you know. Yeah. We were sort of, like I say, we hit the ground running with it, and we did all we could to save it. We put reports up. That's one of our other publications about the history of the building and of its demise as well. So it's not just all digging holes. You know, we have quite a few projects bubbling away. There's another couple which I can't say too much about yet, but hopefully within the next 2 years, both involve travels. So,
that'd be nice.
So when it goes public, I'll let you know. But just at the moment, it's a little
private. Yeah, that's fair enough. Just when you're talking about Dalton Square, I'll just show people what you mean.
Yeah.
Like I say, we've got so much. This is the Queen Victoria statue, and there is people all around, carved people all around this statue. And I've looked. I've never actually known who they are.
Yeah. So basically, we're doing a biography of all the various different members of the group. Are doing each of us are doing 2 or 3, and we're sort of researching it and find out what they did and why they were on there, sort of thing. What links they had to Lancaster, if any links at all. Yeah, it's Dalton Square.
Dalton Square, and that's where Buck Ruxton lived. If you don't remember Jeremy who wrote the book about Buck Ruxton, the Killer Doctor, he lived in Dalton Square, just behind the statue. So it was all happening down there. Yeah, apparently. Someone was asking before, have we got cobbles in Lancaster? We have a few old cobbles, don't we? How old are our cobbles, though?
Dalton Square was...
There's some... There was,
1870s, I think, because Dalton Square was there before Queen Victoria Monument was. But yeah, there's a lot of cobbles still showing around Dalton Square and the streets leading off. There's still cobbles leading up to the castle. There's a lot of cobbles still under the tarmac, to be honest, I should imagine. in town. It's just I know when they're doing doing some roadworks at the top of Penny Street, where it branches off from where the bridge is down by the street.
Yeah.
They were doing some roadworks there, and they're obviously taking a slice out of the tarmac and stuff like that. And then just under there was the cobbles from the year dot, So
yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? It's a shame they've all got covered over. But
they reckon with Lancaster, there's three main thoroughfares of Lancaster, being King Street, Penny Street, and Church Street. They reckon can date back because the Roman finds they've found there. That would have been the basic layout of Lancaster, or whatever it was called back in them days, because they found part of the Vicus.
Lancaster Shires or something like that.
It was
Lancashire.
Lancashire.
Castor is Roman for castle.
Really?
Yeah, and the river is called the Lune. Lune Castor, castle on the Lune.
Well, there you go. So point of fact, where I grew up, it was DeSoto, Texas, but our neighboring city was Lancaster.
Yeah.
So we've got a little bit of Texas has all of Europe in our just hanging out,
Yeah.
A few minutes down from us is Italy, and then we got Paris, Texas, and
you got them all.
Yeah, we got them all.
Multicultural in Texas.
Exactly.
There's quite a few Lancasters actually in the US, isn't there?
Oh yeah, there are. No, there are. I've always wondered how, were they just is it more of a family name, or was it where people were from?
I think it was probably from the settlers, where they were from, because there's like Yorks, there's Lancasters, Chesters, stuff like that. And I think they probably just, if they were moving over there, they just probably wanted a little bit of the heritage coming with them, sort of thing, But it's funny. I think I've seen some pictures of Lancaster, PA, and their jail is actually like a mirror image of Lancaster Castle. The actual
really
the front of it.
Oh right.
Yeah. And the town hall looks like our town hall. So I'm just wondering if they thought, we need to build a town hall. What do theirs look like? But the actual, I think it's in Lancaster, PA. I think the prison there, it has got like an archway and then two columns, like the front of Lancaster Castle. So I think they were stealing ideas there, to be honest.
Could have been.
It's an homage. Stealing is such terrible language. So going back to the Romans though. So you said that you found basically there seemed to be a gap. Was Lancaster, once the Romans sort of said, okay, we're done, we're gonna go this way, the empire officially did everyone sort of move away, or was it always continually used? Or
there was always a town. Archaeology wise in Lancaster, there's been very little Saxon, Norman, or Viking finds. It's kind of it's probably sat there waiting for us to find it, but there's not been saying it's not there. There's not been in any excavations. There hasn't been that many excavations around Lancaster.
Gotcha.
Not to say
what about up at Heysham? In those rock cut graves.
Oh yeah, that they reckon that's Viking, don't they? So.
And they weren't. I don't think they were used for bodies. They were used for trinkets, weren't they? Yeah, I think they found. Well, they apparently found trinkets in there. I mean, I don't know
if they were used for bodies. I tell you.
Very small, yeah. I mean, interesting though. But there's just so much, isn't there? Let's talk about Lancaster Castle then a little bit, because that in itself is.
Well, yeah. I mean, the origins. The first part of Lancaster Castle was the keep. Was built in the 1200s.
I'll just share a little video that I did while Andy talks, so you can see what we're talking about. There we go.
Yeah, that's the castle. Yeah, the centre of it is the keep, and some of the stones that were used to build the keep have been identified as being of Roman origin. So obviously when the Romans left, it will just fallen into disrepair, be stones scattered everywhere, and they used some of those stones to actually build the keep in the 1200s. And then over the years, it was added to the John o' Gaunt Gate there, I think 1400s. It was a prison, and obviously it was a prison back in, way back in the 1700s. Obviously, Lancashire witches, witch trials were held there. But then it became, I wouldn't say a modern prison, but it was used as a prison up until I think it was 2012.
Yeah, and it was the last serving prison, wasn't it? As a castle, in the country. So it was
over the years, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th century parts have been added onto it and built on and adapted. And in fact, only the last about 4 or 5 years ago, they completely remodeled the cafe and shop. Used to be what was the old canteen for the prison officers and what have you. So they wiped all that away, and they've actually made a beautiful courtyard inside now, and there's like a proper barista coffee shop in there, and it's a lot more appealing sort of thing, There's now the shackles of it being a prison, because obviously with it being a prison, you couldn't really look around it as you can now because it was a working prison, So, but like I say, now it's great tourist things. If you ever come over here, it's well worth a visit.
And we've got the Crown Court there, the old courtrooms, incredible, and some high-profile cases tried in Lancaster.
The Birmingham 6 was one of them. IRA.
Yeah.
So it's just it's a stunning building. It's quite foreboding, you won't want to sort of attack it really.
It's huge as well, isn't it? I mean, from the front you don't really see it, and I said to you, I didn't realize till I started walking around the side of it just how big it was. And I'd never even seen up close these buildings and windows and all the stonework's just incredible.
And of course we have a rather famous Duke of Lancaster, who is our current Queen.
Yes.
That goes back to, I think it was the 1500s. Whoever the monarch was bestowed, the Dukedom of Lancaster, and it's been the same ever since. So kings and queens ever since have always been the Duke of Lancaster.
Wow.
They just get it, don't they? The ownership of the title. We'll have to do a show on the Pendle Witches.
Yes.
And, because that's a fascinating story and a lot to it. But they were tried here, weren't they?
They were.
It wasn't successful for them at all.
No, there were
17 or 18 of them hung.
Yeah.
So,
up in where is now Williamson's Park. They reckon they're roughly sure where the gibbets were in the park, which is just before you get to the bandstand, the old bandstand site. There's that sort of raised part where the wood is, and they reckon it would have been somewhere along there.
right.
Because people have said, "Oh, it's right on top of the park," and this, that, and the other. And
well, there's something on Wilesdale Road entrance, isn't there? Opposite the entrance, people say there's like a wall there and a little.
That's a Quaker graveyard. That one.
Quaker graveyard, right? Okay, I never knew exactly what that was.
See, I'm a mine of useless information.
I brought you on so I could suss that one out. But there's, like I say, there's just so many places in Lancaster that's got amazing history, really old history. And I keep saying it when I do my little walks. I go, there's a lot of history here, and I know there's history everywhere, but there's like some real fascinating history in Lancaster.
Yeah.
I'll turn this off now.
That was an interesting video. I like that. I love how you can, if you're not, you can see how they're thinking about the water being channeled away to, for drainage and stuff like that. It was the stuff that we don't usually stop to think about, but they all had to. And that castle took a couple hundred years to go from point A to completed. This is a centuries-long project.
Oh yeah, it was. As I would say, from the keep going up to the you're talking more like bits were added on century by century. So yeah, from I think
15th century gatehouse there. Unknown artist, but this is one of the new inmates arriving at the castle. So it's been a prison for a long time.
Oh yeah.
How do I get that off? And that's just an aerial view. Again, they've just how big that castle is, and courtyard in the middle.
And I noticed you said that they obviously would have used stones that date back to the Roman era. I mean, reclaiming stones is something most people, lots of places did from older cultures. They'd come, they'd reuse them. But is there any evidence that they were actually building on maybe an older Roman fort? Like, was it, or were they starting from scratch?
No, the actual Roman fort, the footprint of the Roman fort is quite immense. It's bigger than the actual castle. It was quite a substantial fort, and we reckon that where the keep is would have been around about just off centre of where the fort was. But I have a LiDAR image actually of the footprint of the current castle. With LiDAR, it basically takes away all the foliage. You can just see the sort of different contrasts in the earth, and you can sort of see the shadow of the fort itself. Just wondering if I got it.
They were doing that. That must have been what I was talking about when I went up there, and they were doing a dig there in the just as you go through those, gates on the other side, literally there. And they were saying the stuff they were finding was very, very valuable, historically. Like Andy said, they'd found this old fort remains. That's, by the way, if anyone heard that noise, that's Jack, Andy's dog, snoring in the background.
It is, yes. I've just sent you, I don't know if you got time to pull it off, and I've just sent you the LiDAR image on Messenger.
Just give me a second, I'll bring it up. Oh, wow.
But so actually that makes perfect sense that the Roman fort would have probably used earthen mounds for their outer gates as part of that construction, right?
Well, yeah. As we looked at the overhead photograph earlier on, where Vicarage Fields is one corner of where the fort was, but it sort of came round in quite a big sort of rectangle, if you will. And like I say, we acquired these images. It kind of gives you a rough idea of the footprint. There you go.
Oh wow!
So if you look there, the grey bit in the centre is the castle and the priory church.
Yeah.
Now the footprint of the if you look at the brown,
yeah,
and it goes right round, basically twice the size. That is roughly the foot. You see at the bottom centre, right at the bottom centre there, where there's like a shape in the ground.
Yeah,
that is part of the fort itself. That's actually sort of visible, not as a fort, but the actual mound it was built on is visible on the field now. That is Vicarage Field. And like I say, where the footprint goes is roughly this, the size, what they reckon the size of the actual Roman fort was. So it's twice the size of the current Lancaster Castle. So it was quite a substantial.
Huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Definitely. Oh, where have I gone? I'm there. Well, look, we're gonna have to 8 minutes to go, but I've got a show on BIGFOOT ODYSSEY, Sunday Encounters, after here. Andy, we'll have to do this again.
Yeah, absolutely.
You just scratch the surface. There's just so much more fascinating stuff about Lancaster and the surrounding areas. But once again, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure. Anytime, mate.
Thank you, Jason, as always.
Thank you, Danielle. Always
thanks
fun.
everyone in the. Yeah, it always is.
Yeah. Pleasure to meet you, Jason, mate.
Thanks everyone in the chat. If you're not doing anything in 7 minutes, pop over to BIGFOOT ODYSSEY and see me over there for an encounter. So until then, everyone, take care.